focus on strength in the hip joints, so awakening and engaging the muscle groups around the full circumference of our hips, which is actually really beneficial for our day-to-day sense of well-being. And this is just a shortened practice, so I created a longer, more full-length practice which is available on my Patreon. And it was a part of a monthly theme that I did, focusing on strength in different parts of the whole body temple. But today we're just focusing on hips, so you won't need anything at all, just your beautiful selves. And we're going to get started straight away in a downward facing dog, so I'll meet you there. And just take these first few moments in down dog to begin to arrive in the practice, coming home to the body and making any of those lovely little movements that you might like to make. Cycling through the legs, swaying the hips side to side, wriggling the shoulders, nodding, shaking the head. And take another breath here. And on your next exhale, let's meet together, right foot forward between the hands and left knee lowering onto the mat. Come up with both hands on your front thigh, and if it's possible for you today, untuck the back toes so that the top of the back foot rests on the mat. And you might need to double fold the mat or slide a blanket or a towel underneath your back knee for a little more cushioning, then that's totally okay. And then we'll meet with the hips a little up and back today. So you might be used to going heavy and low, but we'll go a little bit up and back so that our back hip, our left hip, is right up above our back knee. And then we just stay here for a moment, but bring our awareness and our attention to our back foot and firmly press the back foot down into the mat. And when you do this, maybe just notice how that changes sensation for you in the front of that left hip, or maybe a little bit in the inside of the upper left thigh. And then see if you can keep that back foot firmly pressing down as you just start to pulse a little bit, the hips forward and down and up and back. Just a few times. And if you can continue to keep the back foot pressing down as well as firming and engaging the glutes, the muscles of that back of that left hip, then do that too. Just a few more. So we don't let go today and go really heavy and low. We're really focusing on back foot pressing down, left buttocks firm. Okay. And then the next time the hips are a little forward and down, pause a moment. And then we'll release both hands to the mat. Tuck the back toes under now if they weren't already. Lift the back knee up and let's come up into a crescent lunge. And with our hands, bring them to the outer hips here. So hands on either side of the outer hips, and create with the hands this little reminder to squeeze the outer hips in toward the midline, almost as though you've got a belt wrapped around the outer hips, just cinching you in. And see if you can keep that and reach the arms up overhead. Let's take an inhale, and on the exhale, hands to heart center, turn to the right, left elbow just hovering today, not connecting, just hovering on the outside of the right knee. Outer hip squeezing in. And then we'll inhale, return to center, re-reach the arms, and exhale, hands down and step back. Downward facing dog. And before we go second side, let's play a little today. So we'll rock forward halfway to plank pose. Take a look at your left hand and step it just a little bit further forward, maybe half a hand's length further forward. And then take your right foot and step it halfway up the mat, behind your right hand. So it looks a little bit funny to begin with. But then we're going to swivel the toes to the right, pivoting to the outer edge of the left foot, sole of right foot on the mat, facing towards the long edge of the mat on the right side, and we're in modified side plank. Okay, top hand to the hip. And here let's lift that bottom hip up away from the mat. And as you do that, press your front foot firmly down into the mat. And you might even feel it in the body that as you lift your bottom hip up and press the front foot down, there's that same sense of the outer hip squeezing in toward one another, like we just practice in your high lunge or crescent lunge. And then with that top hand, instead of reaching it up today, have the hand on the hip and press down into the hip to add a little more resistance as we lift the hip up into the hand. And just take one more breath in. And on the exhale, we'll release, let's let that go. Both hands to mat and step back, downward facing dog. Okay, let's go straight to second side. Here we go, left foot forward between the hands, right knee on the mat, both hands to front thigh. Untuck the back toes if you can, top of back foot to mat. Shift the hips up and back. So sometimes when we practice, we can have the hips heavy and low, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a little more of a passive approach to practice. But today we're focusing on strength, active range of motion, and end range strength. So with the hips up and back, our back hip is above our back knee, back foot pressing down. And if you're like me, as soon as I start pressing that back foot down, I feel a shift in sensation in the front of that hip and thigh of the back leg. So maybe just observing that too. Maybe it's different sensation for you. And then keeping the back foot pressing into the mat, just a little movement of the pelvis forward and down and up and back. This is where I have to be really honest, because I can go further forward, but I lose the integrity of what we're doing in the practice today, which is back foot pressing and then adding the buttocks, the glutes, the muscles in the back of that right hip, firming or squeezing. And the next time the hips are a little forward and down, let that be the last time. And then we release hands to mat, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee up, come on up, hands to outer hips. Take a moment and create that sense of hugging in, squeezing from the outside in towards the center. Reach the arms when you're ready. Take an in-breath. And on the out-breath, hands to prayer, turn to the left. Right elbow hovers outside of the left knee. Outer hips hugging in toward one another. And on your next inhale, we return, reach upright. And then exhale, hands to mat and step back again, downward facing dog. Okay, one more little side plank variation, yay. Halfway to plank pose. So the hips are still lifted and the shoulders are still slightly behind the wrists. Right hand this time, stepping just a little bit further forward so it's more comfortable and safe for your shoulder joint. And then left foot steps halfway up the mat, behind the left hand, pivot on the feet, swiveling to the outer edge of the right foot. Toes facing towards the long edge of the mat on the left side this time. And top hand to waist. And it can be really tempting to kind of sag here. But today, let's really lift that bottom hip, the outer right hip, up towards the left hip. And as we do that, front foot, left foot, press into the mat. See if you can feel that Same sensation of outer hips squeezing in toward one another. And then adding the resistance of that top hand, pressing down into the hip, down into the waist, as your bottom hip lifts up into the hand. Last in breath. And then exhale, let's release and step back, downward facing dog. Take a moment here, a moment in child's pose if you need it. And from your child's pose or from your down dog, we'll walk our feet towards our hands, coming to Uttanasana at the top of the mat, folding over the legs. Just a moment here too, just to allow ourselves to drop and drape, enjoying a little bit of passivity after that more focused, strength-based practice. And then as you're ready, check that the feet are hip-width distance apart, and let's bend the knees, shift the hips back and down, or sit the hips back and down, hands to heart center, and Utkatasana, chair pose. And we're going to play with balance again today. So we'll shift our weight into our left foot, stand up and lift the right knee. And we won't be using the hands. We're using the muscles of the legs to move the legs today. So now keeping the muscles in the back and outside of your left hip firm, let's open our right knee out to the side. And then without using the hands, we'll bring the sole of the right foot somewhere to the inside of that left leg. So it might not go as high as it might usually if you use the hand to bring the foot into tree pose. That's okay. It's not the point of the practice today. Just letting the foot land where it does. And then we can release. Draw the right knee forward again. Take a moment here. And then start to lean forward and reach the right leg back into our warrior three. Really focusing on using those muscles in the back of the right hip and thigh to lift the leg as you keep your right hip point facing down. And then we'll rise all the way back upright. Right knee lifts up in front of you one more time. Left buttock firm. And then we release. And back to Tadasana. And fold forward a moment again. Uttanasana. Just to take a moment to pause. A little break. And here we go, second side. Knees bend, hips back and down. Back into Utkatasana. Shift the weight into the right foot. Stand up and lift the left knee. I wish I practiced a little more like this earlier on in my practice and teaching career. It's so helpful to focus on strength as a way to maintain stability, integrity, and resilience in the whole body system, protecting us from injury. Let's open our left knee to the left now. No hands, sole of left foot to inside of right leg, tree pose. Take a moment here. And then we release. Left knee draws back forward. And then one more time, we lean forward and reach the left leg. Reaching and lifting the leg up into space behind us. So the muscles in the outer right hip are working to stabilize us in the balance. But the muscles in the back of your left hip and thigh are really active and awake, helping to keep the leg lifted behind us. And then we rise. Lift the left knee up in front of you one more time. And release. Take a moment, fold forward again over the legs, arriving in your forward fold. And let's inhale, halfway lift, lengthen the spine. Exhale, plant the hands and step back. One more downward facing dog. And from your downward dog, let's sweetly lower the knees to the mat and sit the hips to one side. Come and sit towards the long edge of your mat, sitting a little bit behind the mat even, knees bent, soles of feet on the mat here. So you're creating like a capital letter M with your legs. And we're going to play with one last little bit of movement for the hips here. So let's start with the hands behind. The further back the hands are, the more you can lean into the hands and the easier it might be. Okay, so we'll start with our right leg. Let's swivel the leg so that the inner right knee drops in and down towards the mat in front of you. And then we return to neutral. Same leg, let's just do that twice more. So starting off nice and simple. I like to think of this movement being kind of like lubrication for the hip joint, oiling the chain of the bicycle, right? Okay, second side, left knee in and back up. 2 more. Back to neutral. And now you might start to walk the hands in a little closer or even take the hands away from the mat, okay, for a little more challenge. Let's start back on the right leg. Swivel the right leg, inner right knee comes in and down to the mat. About a 90-degree angle behind the right knee, and let's keep going, turning towards the short edge of the mat. Now the outside of the left foot, shin and knee are on the mat. And now let's return to neutral. Lifting the knees, swiveling back to neutral. Use the hands if you need, and second side, inner left knee onto the mat. Rotating towards the short edge of the mat, other side. Outer right foot, shin and knee resting on the mat. Returning to center, returning to neutral. And let's go back to the first side, inner right knee, pivoting in and down onto the mat, swiveling towards, facing towards that left leg. And this time you can have hands on mat or hands away from mat, but press the outer left foot, the outer left calf and the outer left knee down toward the mat or down into the mat as you lean gently forward. And then if it feels available for you today, keep your back knee, your right knee on the mat, but lift the right foot up off the mat. And you might really feel those muscles in the outer hip here working pretty hard. And for many of us, these muscles are tight, but also weak. So if you're experiencing intense sensation right now, that's pretty normal. Let's release that back foot. Gently lift the torso, returning back to neutral. And then second side, inner left knee to mat, swiveling towards the short edge of the mat, towards your front leg, your right leg. Pressing that front leg down as you lean forward. This is just play in the laboratory of the body, isn't it? That's why I love asana. It's like exploring and discovering in the body. Back knee stays down, lifting the back foot. Sometimes we can be quite different side to side, so noticing that if that's your experience. Releasing the back foot and returning to neutral once again. Let's use the hands to draw the legs toward one another. Wrap the arms around the legs. Give yourself a little hug. Maybe tuck the chin towards the chest. And then we'll just come to any comfortable seat to close the practice for today. Nice and short and sweet. Lift the hands. Fold the palms. Notice how you feel. A moment to acknowledge your practice. knowing that being strong, cultivating strength and resilience in the body allows us to show up as we need to in our days, not only for our benefit, but for the benefit of those around us. Peace, peace, peace. Thanks for practicing all the way to the end. Every practice I offer is possible thanks to the support of my patrons. So if you'd like to continue to support me as well as access full-length practices, meditations and pranayama, then sign up on Patreon.